of this start with a few drivers there, trying to get the best place they can as they reach.
Very good. Shame down.
Welcome everyone to the first ever Flashback Championship Awards. I'm Luigi, your host for today, as we will be embarking on an adventure from the planning of the championship to this premiere you're watching right now. You should be seeing a schedule on the screen, and that is exactly what we will be following for these awards. Make sure to watch this video carefully, as if you're here to guess the FSC Season 5 restart date, we may or may not give you a hint to that at some point during this premiere. That being said, let's start reviewing how this championship began and how we got to these awards, also including some interviews as we introduce the participating leagues. The Flashback Championship started as an idea to expand FSC towards more series, therefore doing a fun league versus league event which would initially see 5 leagues participate. The first of those 5 leagues was FSC, a league which your host will now describe. So, FSC is one of the many fragments of XFR, a really big league which disintegrated due to an internal argument between 2 members all going back to 2019 due to an incident in a race. This league existed up until November 2019, where it eventually disintegrated, and some of its fragments can still be seen today. Yeah. For instance, the league promotion server was actually XFR realistic in the past. Anyway, FSC, being one of its many fragments, has been founded on 19th February 2020 but properly started to grow in September of the same year. It started off as a Roblox league, as the server was created by a different person. Seeing Roblox was a no-go for FSC, I eventually took the decision to transfer it all to Xbox, specifically to F1 2020. The first season used as a test season allowed me to go into Season 2 already having custom teams, but introducing lots of new stuff, including a virtual currency and custom academies. In Season 3, the league managed to see the most epic fight between 2 academies to this day, with the less epic one happening a season later. As of Season 5, the lack of drivers for F1 22 route due to the condition of the game had led us to temporarily stop this season and start shifting our attention to events and more series in hope to gain members and benefit other leagues with the same thing. In the future, FSC plans to also open its own esports team and to try to grow as much as it can to introduce way more epic features as time goes by. Those will all be listed in the roadmap channel in the main server. Back to the event then. The event will be firstly planned with FSC staff to then contact the participating leagues, and thanks to Harry, the event's Discord server was created in under 1 day on the 24th of December 2022. However, the event was pushed back twice before officially being hosted on 2nd, 3rd and 4th January, with 6 leagues taking part at the end. Who is this Harry guy who helped massively though? He's the owner of ECR, also known as Elite Championship Racing. Let's see what he had to say regarding the league, despite only being an admin. We're now having Harry from ECR for a quick interview regarding ECR and how he's finding himself in the league. So first of all, how long have you been in ECR, and how has the league performed in terms of league racing and also in the server over the course of time?
Well, I personally joined at the start of Season 4,
So this was on F1 2020. Was teammates with a good friend of mine when ECR had 2 tiers. Did one race there. My first race was at Austria in tier 2, and the racing there was spectacular. I decided to stay there for the rest of the season. And then from that point onwards, I'd grown closer with the league owner, Bingo. Managed to get an admin position at the start of season 5, so only 1 season later. And then we dropped down to 1 tier. There was a couple of issues with F1 21 at the start. And we're just about to go into our 8th season. There's Bingo, which is our league owner, and then there's 2 admins, myself and Hazardtire as well. Another steward to help us along, and we've got full driver lineup to start off season 8. A couple of returning drivers as well. We're just going to cross-platform because we didn't want to enable it halfway through a season, so enabling it for season 8. And yeah, socials are now kept up to date as well. Graphics are done by myself, and it's just a very friendly community. Everyone knows everyone else. So yeah.
Right, and regarding some negative and positive moments in the league, what can you remember about, of course, what happened in the league that impacted it positively or negatively?
I'll start with the negative because I can get it out of the way. Earlier on in ECR, before I joined, there was a little bit of power. 2 people wanted like the same amount of power. They were both joint league owners, and in the end, one of them ended up splitting off, making their own league. Whereas ECR carried on. Obviously, we dropped down to 1 tier in season 5, but this happened in season 3. So we went from having a couple of quick drivers in the league to then going over there. We had to do a lot of promotion. The league owner at the time, Bingo, had to do a lot of promotion to get a lot of drivers in, because we wanted to still have a full grid for that season. And we ended up getting 2 tiers, which was even better than expected. In terms of positives, I can speak from when I've been in the league that socials are now kept up to date, whereas they wasn't before. So we're getting onto social media platforms. The rulebook that we have wasn't updated for quite a few seasons, and that's being updated every season now. We're having safety briefings before each race to ensure drivers don't cause as many collisions as what may have happened in the past. We've had a couple of admins that have either dropped off and new ones come in, so fresh eyes on the scene, and has helped to develop the league quite substantially. And going into F1 23, we're looking to see if we can get 2 tiers back up again, as we had once before. In terms of negative light, there's not too much to go on apart from that power ship dictator. But in positive light, everyone's always friendly in here. Lots of inside jokes if you've been in the server for a little while, as well as an esport team that's sort of upcoming. He's a team principal of an academy, and they do different liveries for cars, so like photoshopping. For this season it's the McLaren and Alpine outfit. They're photoshopping their cars and making them special and posting on the Instagram, so we're getting double promotion, if you like, from our own socials and theirs. And we've got a couple of esport drivers in here, for instance BR2 Jacob, part of ABE at the moment, switched esport teams. Rapid, current 2-time champion, He's part of an esport team as well and has Monaco world record. So there's exposure going all over the place for us at the moment. So yeah, just keeping up to date, and everyone's very happy.
We've seen that different leagues have had issues with getting drivers to sign up for the new seasons on F122. Has ECR had the same issue over the course of the release of F122?
So last season was more challenging than expected, which was their first season on this game. Most drivers retained their lineup, so all drivers are friends, maybe just in the league in general, but sometimes outside. A couple of the drivers like go to school together, for instance. So that group of friends will ensure that each other has a seat. They're always available on the Fridays that we race. But season 7 was challenging. There was always one seat that was available full time in the driver lineup. But for every race we had minimum 16, 17 drivers, so it was always a full grid, even with that one seat that wasn't filled by full time. So we've got reserve drivers to counteract that, but some of them not as committed, hence why the gap. But for season 8 we've got a full driver lineup. We've got a couple of returning drivers, so one of the drivers that raced in season 6 is coming back in season 8. They'd recently moved to PC. And another driver that's come from another league race, not this time, is chosen to join here, full-time seat as well. So although we've had some departures throughout season 7, we've always been able to find new drivers to fill those spots, which I guess is the perk of having team principals, managing 2 teams. So as long as they've got connections in other leagues and other friends as well, then we'll always have drivers to race. But yeah, our attendance has been pretty good. The lowest, like I say, was about 16, which I think was at round 1 because we did it in a holiday, which was a little bit silly. But other than that, we've had really good attendance throughout the season.
And finally, where do you see ECR going? That is, what are your predictions, if you can make any, about ECR's future, and what can you hope for ECR over the coming seasons?
Well, plans for the future. So season 8, we're starting this Friday, and we're doing 16 race calendars, so we get 2 seasons a game, which we might look to see if we can get 3, but unsure yet. But moving into sort of season 9 and 10, we're aiming for 2 tiers, make sure they're stable across those games, and then maybe even expand to 3 or 4 tiers if we get the chance to. Always looking for new eyes, new partnerships. Obviously big leagues always helps that, and exposures like this FSC event is great for our league, because although we've got 100 members in here, we've obviously only got the 20 full-time drivers, so new active drivers are always welcome. Hence the push that we're going to try and get 2 tiers for season 9, a couple more maybe later down the line, but we want stability, so we don't want to overstretch our resources. So we might have had the facility to go to 2 tiers for this season with the amount of drivers in the server, but not all of them are active enough to take those full-time spots. So we'll be prioritising stability by doing 1 tier at the moment, and then hopefully looking to expand in future seasons to 2 tiers, that stable, 3 tiers, that stable. In terms of the future on socials, the ECO Instagram is still going to be there. I don't see myself going anywhere, hopefully in that time. Always posting results and stand-ins on there. So we might branch out maybe into another social media platform, maybe either TikTok or Twitter, to try and get some more drivers in as well, because they seem to be quite popular with racing. And now that we're cross-platform as well, we've got that option of PC and PlayStation drivers as well for the future seasons. Hopefully it will carry over to F1 23 and 24, etc.
Right. Thank you for taking your time to answer those questions. We wish you the best of luck then for your league's future, and also for the Flashback Championship. We have round 2 today, and then we'll have the finale. So hopefully you can have quite a good race today, and yeah, see you, I guess, with the finale.
Thank you very much. See you then.
See you. The championship started as planned on 2nd January 2023 at 8 PM GMT, which would see one of the races that some of our drivers voted as the best of the season. Due to the amount of leagues, the race was split into 2 lobbies formed by 2 groups. Each league which had the least amount of points in both groups would face each other the following day. This means that ZRL would officially be eliminated from the championship after only one driver faced F1 still in Belgium on 3rd January at 6 PM GMT. It's Jack Hammer who owns ZRL, and as much as we don't have any word from him, I can personally say ZRL started small but managed to expand a lot towards social media platforms quite quickly and gaming drivers as well. Some drivers may not like the driving standards there, but they recently had the best race yet in terms of that. This also meant that at 8 PM GMT we would see 4 leagues facing each other like FSC and ECR. This race led to ECR moving to the finals with another league, and FSC would have to face F1 still with another league. 4th January 2023 is the big day. At 6 PM GMT, the first race of the day begins at Imola, with GRA being eliminated from the championship as none of the drivers showed up. I'm talking about G Racing Association. Yeah, we'll see what Pingo has to say regarding that. We're here with Pingo today, if I'm not mistaken, the owner of GRA, G Racing.
Not the owner, the admin.
Oh, okay. Okay. Admin of GRA, G Racing Association, and we'll be asking him some questions on the league's past. Of course, he just said he's the admin, so I don't know how long he stayed in the server. So that will be the first question, I guess. How long have you stayed in GRA, and how has it been for you in the league and in the server as well?
I'm looking at this one now. I've been in GRA since the 18th of April 2021, which feels like forever ago, not gonna lie. So yeah, what's that? Well, it's 2 years this year, and yeah, no, it's great in GRA. The community's brilliant. Everyone's extremely helpful, you know, and yeah, I love it.
Are there any moments you remember in GRA that have marked the league in a positive or negative way?
I think the highlight of GRA for me was probably season 4 in our realistic tiers. Probably one of the best championship fights I've ever seen in league racing. I mean, we had 4 drivers going for the title in the final round, so yeah, it was definitely exciting.
Talking about the racing aspects in the server, what happens after races, which kinds of ups and downs do you think gave the league what it needed? Of course, I saw that it's struggling with members today, but before it used to struggle with members, how was it?
Yeah, I think it's the same in every league, especially as sort of, you know, you go through a game's lifetime. The longer the game's been out, usually you struggle to find new participants, you know, whether they're already in another league or they're just bored of the game, which I think a lot of people are now, because yeah, the game at the moment isn't amazing, which is unfortunate for us. But no, we've always sort of managed to get people in, whether it's, you know, sort of through word of mouth of other people, or we put out advertisements for the spaces around. But yeah, I think the important thing is just sort of just to keep going, because we still have a really good bunch of people who take part, and they're definitely the ones that sort of make the league what it is.
Right, and going on into the future, how do you think GRA will grow, if you have any predictions in it? And for now, what do you hope for GRA?
I guess you never know really. We've got a new season starting in a month's time. I think we've got quite a big break just to sort things out, sort of management wise, because that's one of the things, you know, we've been sort of trying to restructure to make it the best for everyone who's taking part. But you know, I think there's still good things in the future. You know, obviously, with the game at the moment, not many people are enjoying it, so it's been hard to fill seats. But as I said, the environment in GRA is great, and yeah, we've got a good group of people who take part and make the racing enjoyable. So yeah, I mean, running a league is it's interesting sometimes. It can be pretty frustrating, but no, I think there's good things in the future for GRA.
Right, and I guess that was all the questions for today. Thank you for your time for answering those, and I guess we'll see you later on in the track if you'll be there. If not, we'll see you, I guess, for the finale.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, thank you very much.
No worries.
See you later.
Have a nice day.
You too, mate. Have a good one.
GRA, though, wouldn't really be eliminated from the championship. In fact, the race had to be restarted due to a glitch which caused 4 drivers to receive a not synced start and therefore a jump start. This led to controversies being started, as F1 still would originally have won the race, taking the podium. However, it has to be said that drivers were made aware on lap 3 that a restart was being called, and they only checked this code as soon as the race came to an end. Despite this, the race would be postponed to 9 PM as drivers agreed, and the championship continued on with the 2 remaining legs facing each other in Abu Dhabi at 8 PM GMT. This resulted in ECR taking the win by a great margin, with URL taking the podium zone. So, B3 Drew, regarding their own league, United Racing League, says B3 Drew joined as a driver back in 2020, and he was originally placed into Tier 3 for his first race weekend, where he took part in free practice 1, and he was basically 2 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. So he was instantly moved to a Tier 2 seat, where he spent the rest of the season. At the time, URL was shockingly unorganized, and they basically spent the last year getting theirs fixed. There were some negative and positive aspects of B3 Drew's journey in URL, as he's currently an admin in the head of standings to be exact. So, as for the negatives, when B3 Drew first joined URL, he just couldn't cope with the fact that the staff just didn't basically bother to do any sort of task whatsoever, and the stewards, being incredibly biased, would always simply give penalties to those who were involved in incidents with their friends. Fortunately, since the league went under a new ownership, everybody was treated fair and square. The fighting certainly used to be a lot closer, as they used to have a very solid lineup for drivers. The championship was never decided until fairly late, whereas recently they had the same drivers champion for multiple seasons in a row now. A special moment that impressed our admin negatively was regarding a Scottish person, as he would take no responsibility whatsoever for his own mistakes on track. The two of them were always in battles, as it was them fighting, but he certainly had conflicts with the rest of the grid. Meanwhile, our admin has always been impressed by the racecraft and pace of some of our drivers. There are some laps that you look at and you just sit and wonder how they do it. And he knows he'll never get to that level, but he's glad he's made friends with them. It's very impressive to see, especially how they've evolved since first seeing them drive. We also know that leagues during these days have had lots of issues, as the current game, the F122 game, has had, let's say, quite a drop in drivers due to the state of the game, and ZRL suffered the same fate unfortunately, as the season had to end early pretty much, similar to how the W series had to end theirs, but this wasn't due to the financial difficulties also. Instead, it was down to a lack of players wanting to drive in leagues. And B3 Drew's opinion on any league wanting to start on this year's game is basically just to forget it and just move on to F123, as probably leagues won't have enough luck to start properly on this year's game. As for the future, our admin here hopes to bring ZRL a comeback over the course of 2023, as they recently had a few talks of getting ZRL into some competitive racing, not as a league, but as a racing team itself, as they used this championship to give it a try, and although they didn't leave with first place, second place, or third place, which we'll see in a moment, was certainly an impressive performance for their first time, and he couldn't be prouder with how the team performed. The action on track and the communication and work put in off track were both brilliant. Hopefully, they can all look forward to getting themselves into some competitions. And that is basically what our admin B3 Drew from ZRL had to say regarding the league. Continuing on, as the day would finish with the postponed race, F1 Steel drivers took it personally and decided to ruin their team's chance to get a possible podium, instead claiming 5th, despite 2 drivers racing for them, found by FSC, as the main drivers refused to take part as a way to protest, which only led to F1 Steel's demise in the championship, and uncertainty as to whether they would be allowed to take part once again after minor raids were started by one of the drivers a few days after the race concluded. Why did they behave like that? Well, there's only one way to find out, by asking Jinsey. So, let's begin from I'd say season 2 of Tier 1. That's you were there, right?
I think so.
Okay. So, how do you think this league improved since then?
Well, our numbers certainly expanded quite a bit. We created a Twitch channel, which quickly rose to get an affiliate level. Commentating and just a lot of hardworking staff and a lot of committed drivers as well.
Regarding the previous seasons, do you think how many good moments did you have in F1 Steel? Like, regarding ups and downs, would you say that you had more downs or more ups?
Oh, for sure, more ups. I mean, racing in F1 Steel is, well, an absolute pleasure. You know, we're all extremely clean drivers. You know, we respect each other both on and off track, and it's really the community that sort of brings it both onto the track and off the track in the Discord server as well.
And we've seen that F1 Steel has gone. I mean, I've joined just this season, but I know for sure that F1 Steel has gone through a lot of changes during the past. How can you describe them?
Forward changes, they're definitely more optimistic, you know, looking for more opportunity in ways that we can improve the server, not just in terms of efficiency, but for enjoyability for drivers as well. You know, we're really looking to get the best out of what is available to us, and yeah, just really optimizing how great we can be for our drivers.
And finally, right now, how would you say F1 Steel is doing right now? How would you say you're doing in F1 Steel?
At the moment, F1 Steel is a server that kind of is beginning to see a drop off in a few drivers' attendance, but with the new season, hopefully it should spark up some ambition in a lot of drivers, and we hope to see a lot of returning drivers as well as some new faces in the server. Personally, I think it's going very well, and I won myself a championship last season in Tier 2, and I hope to continue that in Tier 1.
Nevertheless, GRA managed to get a full roster, and so did FSC. At first, it seemed like GRA would likely take the podium, but after one of GRA drivers unfortunately took time penalties, which he didn't appeal at all, and instead left the server, this got FSC the podium place. So this leads us to this special day, awarding the leagues which participated in this championship, regardless of their performance in the event. That was quite a review, and we will now proceed on to showing you the results of the two forms which you voted. You can now see a chart on screen showing every possible nomination which could be voted. The ones that were picked were the ones with the most amount of votes. The chart of each nomination vote will be published at the end of the nomination awards. We have a total of 9 nominations to award today, 7 of which are gonna be assigned to leagues, whereas the other 2 will be assigned to drivers. For leagues, we will have 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th place awards. Additionally, we will also have Best Looking Livery Award. For drivers, we will have Driver of the Season, Cleanest Driver. Here, instead, you can see the feedback that some of you left us to prepare the second season of the Flashback Championship. And speaking about that, will there actually be a second season? Well, yes, and even if the format will be voted by you, it will not look anywhere near this championship you took part in, and will definitely have up to 10 leagues participate, perhaps even more, all to get down to the last league standing. To do this, we will merge some ideas of another elimination series FSC had in mind, and since this Flashback Championship has exactly the same layout, expect to see new things. That is, if your league decides to sign up, obviously. The prizes will most likely increase in quality, but that only depends on whether we can find a way to give you better prizes. However, more details will be revealed later on this channel, so make sure to keep an eye on it. Oh, and also, I see you are still here to claim your prizes in case you guess the FSC S5 restart date. Remember, you only have one and only one guess available, so do so wisely. This restart date is set for the usual race day in FSC, no later than this month. Keep watching if you still cannot figure out. Thanks for being patient enough and for sticking to this video for this long, we really appreciate it. We hope we managed to build enough suspense for this big moment and what this video is all about. Let's get straight to it then. Welcome to the nominations awards for Season 1 of the Flashback Championship, hosted by Formula Series Championship. Firstly, let's take a look at our nominees for today and at our nominations for today. Obviously, there will be 6 legs being nominated today, but what about the drivers? Well, let's find out then by awarding those nominations. Firstly, we'll go from leagues, then end with your vote on the drivers. At the beginning of the championship, we had leagues submit their liveries, and the best was voted to be F1 Steels, with 2 votes in total, 1 from F1 Steel and 1 from URL. Those are some reasons given by our participants regarding the livery they voted. Still, like the logo, the colors of the car are good and they fit with each other. Moving on to place awards. 6th place obviously goes to ZRL Racing League, which unfortunately had a poor start in the first season of this championship. And in 5th, we then have F1 Steel, which we all know why. I will now start giving hints as there will be a shake-up of places to follow. 4th place goes to the league which lost its podium due to a 10-second time penalty, and that is G Racing Association, which still did more than a great job in getting a full roster right in time. Let's shake up things a bit more now. 2nd place could go to either the host of this event or to a realistic league within this championship. Since I like creating suspense, we will firstly reveal which league will get the last league standing title. That is Elite Championship Racing. We congratulate you on the win, and you will be able to claim your prize shortly after these awards end. We wish you the best of luck on your future. So, we are left with FSC and URL. Who gets 3rd and who gets 2nd? I will first give you a hint and then an audio clip. The league which will get 2nd place does not have series. Still cannot figure out? Well, here's an audio clip to help you with that.
This is enabled, it won't be on for these, but it will be at the 2nd straight, so we'll follow on with the top 3.
With that being said, I congratulate United Racing League on claiming the 2nd place in the championship. As for FSC, they managed to claim 3rd. And we are not yet done with these awards, as I'm wondering, and probably you are as well, who will be our driver of the season and cleanest driver? I'll start with a big hint firstly. It is 2 drivers, 2 different drivers actually, who won those 2 nominations, and here are the reasons for it, randomly ordered. Dominated everything, didn't have any incidents, nor hit anyone. You should be now able to see, or better, take a look at 2 blurred driver names at the moment. We will now place each nomination where it belongs, and then unfold both driver names at the same time. So, dominated everything goes to driver A, while the remaining 3 to driver B. So what are we waiting for? Let's unfold those driver names. Looks like we have got Rapid and Luke. But what about the nominations? I would say that, looking at the reasons for the vote, it is safe to say that our driver of the season will definitely be Rapid from ECR. Therefore, we would make our utmost congratulations to Luke for being the cleanest driver out there, apparently, as the votes have told. And that is it. Thank you for joining us, and we will now end the video with a surprise every FSC member was waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the Season 5 restart date reveal, and there are plenty more videos coming up. Enjoy!